Alright, so this is my video guide, I guess, uh, on K49. I mean Nameless. I mean Krohnen. Yeah, that's what I meant this whole time. Yeah. Um, anyway, so Cronin's a very interesting character for a couple different reasons. He basically has every tool that you would want in a character, so to speak. And he has pretty much every. Yeah, he's like an all-rounder, but a lot of his tools are really unorthodox, so to speak, and like he doesn't have some of the like traditional universal things, but he still has ways to do those things. Case in point, like he doesn't have a very good like normal anti-air against jumps, but he has an amazing DP, which makes up for it. So it's things like that that make him a little bit strange, but he has everything. But he is an all-rounder, and he has literally everything, pretty much that you want in a character. So anyway, let's just get on to his movesets. So first of all, far A, you know, same as always, standard KOF anti-hop tool. Not a very good poke because it's super high, but you know, it's a good anti-hop measure. Close A is interesting because you can see on the animation it hits kind of low, but it does work as an anti-hop. So even if you get close A, it should be fine for anti-hop. Far B is alright. This patch they made it command cancelable, which is really nice. Is it a low actually? Hold on, I don't remember, because some of these moves are low. Some of the moves that look like this are lows, and some of them aren't. So give me a quick second. But anyway, his close B is pretty much the same. Is very similar. No, his far B is a mid. Sorry. His close B is a low though, and it's frame 4. His close B is frame 4 low, which is actually pretty nice. His far B though is frame 8, which is kind of slow, so you don't always want to be like. So I don't think this is really that great of a poke, to be honest. He's got far better pokes, but it's okay for what it's worth. But yeah, his close B is good, but I would say it's largely overshadowed by his crouch B. But I mean, it's a frame 4 and it's a low, so actually maybe use this. Yeah, actually it might be better than his crouch B now but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, use the close B for low confirms because the crouch B does significantly less damage. As you can see, the far B, or the close B does 30 damage, which is really nice for a low confirm, right? And you can chain it into whatever. So yeah, try doing that. As for his C's, his far C is a decent poke. It's a little weird though. It's frame 11, which is okay, and it's 6 hits as you can see, and it's plus a lot, by the way. But the thing is, you can't cancel it on the later hits. You have to cancel it on, I believe, the first 3 hits. Which doesn't really give you a lot of time to react and do stuff, or to do like raw special cancels, but it is more time than a lot of other pokes in this game, so it is nice. What you can use it more for, though, with the 6 hits is watch the 6 hits land and then max cancel it, which is really nice, and that's a really good confirming option. And you can see it's plus on hit, but even on block, it's quite plus. It's plus 2, yeah. So overall, it's a pretty good tool, but it's also a little strange. So get used to me saying that a lot. That's him in a nutshell. His tools are pretty good. They're just a little strange. But it's good. It's good. His far D is actually pretty standard. There's nothing that crazy with it. It's 0 on block, which is nice. Oh, I'll get to that later. It's a little stubby, all things considered. Like you can see, it's not the best, but it can stuff hops, but it's a little slow for that. It's an okay poke, but I honestly don't find myself using it that much. It's frame 10, but you can see it's a lot stubbier than like Far C, which is only a frame slower and cancelable. Like Far C is cancelable. but far D's not, and it's stubbier. So I would just recommend using far C at that point if you're poking at this range, because it's pretty much the same speed. It's cancelable. It's more plus on block and hit, and it has more range. So overall, just use far C in those scenarios. In terms of close options, though, close C is pretty good. It's frame 5, so it's a little slower than like his close B. So it's not as fast as like up close combo starter. But of course, it gives you heavy damage, which is nice. But of course, you lose the low off of like close B. So you know, you can pick and choose depending on what you want, depending on what you think your opponent's blocking is going to be. But it's actually really good. It's -3 on block, so it's pretty safe. It's basically safe if you just do it raw. But obviously, you want to cancel it into something, which I'll get to as cancels later. It's 3 hits, which gives you a fair amount of time to hit confirm it. I'm not amazing at it personally, but you can hit confirm into it pretty well. Or you can just raw cancel it into like slide or something, and you can just cancel it into slide, hit or block, and then cancel the slide into, depending, that gives you even more reaction time, so it's kind of nice. Unfortunately, unlike something like Kyo close C or Yori close C or anything like that, again, he's kind of wonky in this way where it's not an anti-air button, really. You can see the animation, it's pretty mid-level, so it won't anti-air anything. So he doesn't have that sort of like normal option, so to speak. Again, yeah. But yeah, his next move is his close D, which is really bizarre, at least for a close D. It's an overhead. It's an overhead that's just a normal. That's really strange. That being said, it's arguably the best overhead in the game. It's frame 17, which is extraordinarily fast for an overhead, first of all. Second of all, it's really safe. It's -2 on block, which is like stupidly safe. And you can see it gives you enough pushback that you're probably not going to be punished by like a grab, unless they're a grappler. They might be able to punish you if you're a grappler. But in any case, use this a lot because it'll catch people off guard a lot. There'll be some confirms that use this and some combos, which I'll get into later, but just know for now that it's an extremely potent overhead. Simultaneously, though, this is also why you don't want to use far D that much, because one of the things you'll notice is when I was trying to get far D to hit, sometimes I'd get close D instead, because the range that far D comes out on and hits is not all that much more than like, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's honestly, don't use like standing D unless you intend to do the close version, because the close version's really good. The far version's just not very great. And it does 80 damage and it's hard knockdown, and what's really nice about it is you can get a free safe jump after. What you do is you do the close D. You can also do this in combos that end in close D, and then do a crouch A, and then jump, and then do whatever button in the air, and that's a safe jump. As you can see there. So typically, since you just want to do CD for the frame advantage, but if you really think they're gonna not like block high, you could do something like that, or jump D, or whatever, really. But I'll get into his jump-ins later. But just know, yeah, the close D is really stupid. It's really good. You just don't want, and another thing on top of this, because it's a close D and it's not a command normal, you can OS it with throw, of course, making it arguably even better. It's just really obscenely good, honestly. So now onto his crouching normals. Crouch A is okay. It's frame 4, so it's his fastest like mashing button that is not bound to proximity, I should say. And it's pretty good. It's +1 on block, which is decent. It's overall pretty good. It's pretty long range for a crouch A, which is nice. And you can cancel it into command normals or specials or really whatever. It's good. But it's just a crouch A. His crouch B is also really good. It's frame 5, so it's a frame slower. So just note that if you know you're close enough and you want a low, technically close B B is always better because it does higher damage. It's more plus on block, and it's faster, and it's still a low, and they have the same chainable properties. So just note that. But his crouch B is good if you're doing if you're out here and you don't think you'll get close B, because if you don't think you'll get close B, you'll get a frame 8 far B. So use the crouch B in sort of scenarios where you're a little bit pushed out. But what's really good about his crouch B is that it's cancelable both into specials and command normals, which is reasonably rare for a crouch B. So it's overall very good. It's extremely good, actually. Just be aware that if you land like a jump in and you're trying to check them stand blocking, you should probably go with close B instead. But yeah. Now, crouch C is one of his is a super threatening button. It used to be even more threatening pre-patch. Now it's a little bit worse, but it's still pretty good. It's a sweep, which is a little odd for a crouch C. Again, he's just an odd character. And unfortunately, that means he doesn't have like a normal crouch C anti-air, like Ryo or Kyo or like Iori or anything. But in exchange, he gets like arguably one of the best pokes in the game. Unfortunately, yeah, it's frame 12 now instead of frame 9, which is a little unfortunate. But it's still really good because the first hit is cancelable. As you can see, the second hit does knockdown, but the first hit doesn't. So you can cancel it into whatever. And the first hit actually hits from like pretty far range, as you can see here. And so you can just buffer it into like really safe stuff, like what I'm doing here with Fireball. Or if they whiff something from like way out here, and you can react in time, you can do like stuff like that. That doesn't work. That combo doesn't work. But like you can do stuff like that, right? Like it's overall really, really strong. And it also low profiles a little bit. It's not an amazing low profile, but it's still a low profile, which is really nice. Point is, use this button a lot. It's really nice. Unfortunately, I don't think it's not command normal cancelable, but it doesn't really matter. You can it's still just a godlike poke. His crouch D is okay. It's mostly overshadowed by his crouch C as a long range like low poke, as you can see. But they did speed it up, so now it's frame 8, so it's significantly faster than his crouch C. But unfortunately, you won't get anything after it because it just causes knockdown on the first cancelable hit because it's just one hit. So so it's okay. It's okay, and it does move him forward, but honestly, it's not amazing. But it's okay. It's good for a sweep. It's honestly, on any other character, this would be a good sweep, but the fact that he has crouch C makes it not nearly as good as it should be. Next is jump normals. So jump A is a multi-hit normal. What's interesting about it is that it basically always gives him plus advantage, but it does pretty low damage, honestly. And I believe it does heavily. It scales per hit, but I forget if it's only on the hot version, but it is a very good steep angle jump in for the record, and it beats a lot of stuff, and it is pretty good, but you don't see it used a whole lot because of its lowish damage, but it's still pretty good. I'd recommend using it as a jump in, and it's plus enough to link out of. So it's nice. His jump B is kind of weird. I don't find myself using it that much, honestly, because it's not really a great air-to-air because of its sort of lowish ankle. But some of his other jump normals cover the same sort of range as this. So honestly, I don't find myself using it that much. It does have a cross-up hitbox, but you basically can't ever get it on a standing opponent to cross up and be plus enough to like link anything after. So, see, I'm not getting it. It's not plus enough to do anything after, really. And it's not even that good of a cross-up. Like, I'm getting it here, but it's a little, see right there, like it's kind of tricky to get the cross-up hitbox. So honestly, don't go for the cross-up, but it can. And again, it's just not a great normal. His jump C, it's kind of like his jump A, but it does more damage. But it attacks at a like more horizontal angle, making it theoretically better if your opponent tries to air-to-air. But it's a little worse of a jump in terms of hitbox, but it does do more damage, so keep that in mind. It doesn't scale like the jump A though does. So again, it does way more damage. So yeah, it's pretty good. Note though that neither jump A or jump C, their multi-hit properties don't count as like all highs. Only the first one's a high, so you don't get that like mix-up of doing two or doing multiple overhead hits, which is a little unfortunate. But you know, I guess that's okay. His jump D is also really good. This is what I was talking about. My jump B is pretty much overshadowed completely by this, because they attack at basically the same angle, and it's only like 1 frame slower, I think. And this just does more damage. So honestly, just use the jump D instead. And it also still has a cross-up hitbox. And it is actually plus enough if you do it at certain heights to link stuff out of, more so than the B. But it's still not easy to get a cross-up that'll give you plus enough. There it is. Honestly, don't go for cross-ups with him, but you could. Just know that you can, but honestly, don't go for it. Now his CDs. Stand CD is really bad. It has no range. You can see it has like literally like barely any range, and it's frame 12. So honestly, don't use it like ever. The range is so bad that in the first patch, they made a Shatter Strike based off of his far D, as you can see, instead of his CD, because his CD hitbox is so bad. They realized he doesn't get to use his Shatter Strike like at all, so they changed it to the Shatter Strike hitbox to this, so it has more range. His Shatter Strike, for the record, is good though, because it has this increased hitbox. It's good now, but just know that don't use his stand CD. Shatter Strike is normal Shatter Strike though, but his jump CD is incredible. It's extremely good. First of all, it's active for a really long time. Like, it's active for 10 frames, which is obscene. And its startup is only 13 frames. So, point is, you can just sort of throw it out. On hop, it's active for only 8 frames, but it's still active for a long time. So just hop around and CD, or jump and CD, and like, it's actually really hard. If your opponent doesn't have a DP or an invincible anti-air type of move, it's actually really hard for them to contest this. Or at the very least, like, cleanly beat it. Because at worst, you'll trade with like a normal, if your opponent only has like normal anti-airs, they'll trade, and then this will knock them down, and you'll just get air reset. So this is like an obscenely good tool. And of course on counter hit, you can convert off of it even more. But it's a little tricky sometimes, but meterless you can do stuff like that. Or with meter you can get super. But even on non-counter hit, you can do stuff, but I'll get to that. His throws are standard. There's nothing interesting to talk about his throws. They give you enough time to set up whatever. But yeah, they're just throws. His back throw is a little less advantage, but you know. They're okay. But his command normals are really nice. So first of all, he's got forward A, and you can see animation-wise, it basically looks like his far C, but it moves him forward a lot. You can see that. So it's actually a really good poke, and it's only -2, so they're not going to punish you for it. Unfortunately, it's not cancelable into specials, as you can see. Even when canceled into, it has the same properties. You can't cancel it into specials, which is a little unfortunate. But you can cancel it into supers, or if you get it as a long-range poke, like if you're out here and you do it, and you see some of the hits start connecting, again, just like far C, you can max cancel it, which is nice. Overall, it's a really good poke, and and if you just want to go for safety, you can do block strings into it, like that, or whatever. Now, his really good command normal for confirming is down forward D. It's the slide thing. Now, on just normal, you can't cancel it into specials. You can cancel it into supers, but if you cancel into it first, though, it's special cancelable, which is obscene, and it connects from his light normals. Let's see. As you can see there. and it has heavy hit stuns, so it effectively allows you to convert any lights into heavies, into heavy combos. So, like, as you can see there, that doesn't work, but a heavy into Fireball works. But you can do lights into Fireball via the slide, as you can see. So it's really good. Use this in all of your confirms, basically, is what I'm saying. And if you want it as a neutral threat, you can whiff cancel normals, and you can whiff cancel normals into it, and then it becomes cancelable because you're canceling it from a normal. So just like whiff something like crouch B, and then immediately do the slide, and it becomes cancelable, as you can see. So that's a little nice trick to sneak in a slide in neutral, because again, the raw slide is not cancelable, but if you whiff cancel something into it, you can cancel it. So that's really nice. So anyway, the move you see me doing a lot is this Fireball, quarter circle forward punch. The A version combos from heavy attacks or the slide, which is really nice. And it does quite a bit of chip. It's just a really nice move. As you can see, the chip is kind of nice. The heavy version's a lot slower and doesn't combo really from like anything, as you can see. But it's super plus, as you can see there. It's really, really plus. So that's sort of your pressure resetter. Because if you look, the blocked light version is minus, but it's not punishable. It's just minus. So it's still good as a block string ender. But if you think your opponent's just going to keep blocking, if you've already got the blocking and you think they're just going to keep blocking, go into the heavy Fireball, and you're plus a ton, so it allows him time to do whatever else he wants. Typically, because you're kind of put at this weird range after your block string, you might want to do like forward A, or like maybe like far C or anything like that. Yeah, figure out your opponent's habits and just when they're in block stun and use this. It's really good. The EX version's also really nice. It combos from heavies just like the A version, but it's his crumple, so it's really nice in his combos because you can use it for crumples and get whatever he wants after. So if you have an EX to spend and you want to use an EX, generally that's what you want to go for, is the EX Fireball. It's really good. So now his DP, just, you know, DP and punch. His DPA is really nice. It's frame 4, and it's upper body invincible, or it's invincible to any air attacks. So it's a really nice anti-air. Unfortunately, every single DP they nerfed this patch, and it no longer is anti-cross-up. It used to be anti-cross-up, but now it's not really. But it's still obscenely good. It has a really good range in front of him, and because he stays grounded, it's a lot harder to. I find it's a lot harder to like bait him into anti-airing by doing like a shallow jump. I don't know, it's hard to describe, but the hitbox on it is just really nice for anti-airing. And on top of that, if you get an anti-air, or you just get a normal connector, literally whatever. You can get some super. It's just really good. So yeah, use it as an anti-air basically is what I'm saying. The C version is frame 10. It's slower, but it's fully invincible, and it's really good. Again, cancels into super. You can use it in combos too. But only the light version will work after the like slash thing, or the EX version. But the EX version is basically the properties of both of them combined. It does more damage than both of them, and it's frame 4 like the light version, but it's fully invincible like the heavy version. Unfortunately, this patch, as you can see there, the launch angle's changed, and you can't get combos mid-screen after it anymore. But it's still a really good tool. This is your probably most consistent anti-air, because unlike the what you saw earlier with the A version, where if they do a full jump, you might mistime it a little bit like that. The C version, or sorry, not the C version, the EX version is super active, and it has a higher hitbox. So, like, they basically, if you see them in the air, there's not, like, if you see them in the air, the EX DP will catch them if they jump towards you, like, in any capacity besides cross-up. So if you're standing at anywhere from like this range, and they jump towards you, just EXDP it, and just, regardless if it's a hop or a hyper jump or any jump arc, pretty much, you'll hit them. It's really obscene, honestly. It's a really great anti-air. But again, he can't combo off of it mid-screen anymore. In the corner, that's a different story. In the corner, after it, you can follow up with a DPA, and then you can follow that up with super or whatever else. But yeah, that's basically it with his DP. His third and final special move is quarter circle back kick. The light version's a combo tool, and you can combo it into like DPA or the EXDP. But you have to be a little bit close, because if you get a far connect like that, you're not able to connect anything after. So just be aware of that. But as long as you get a close connect, so this is why you kind of have to time it a little bit. If you do close C and then the slide, you want to delay the quarter circle back B by a little bit, so you get the later frames of the slide. Let's see. So you can connect the DP, versus if you cancel too early, you can see I can't get DP and I just lose damage there, right? So in this context, you want to cancel this slide a little bit later. You can see right there that still connects, right? So just be aware of that. Unfortunately, in this patch, they made it really minus, so it's punishable. Don't do it on block, unless it's spaced. If it's spaced, it's okay on block, but still don't go for it on block. Go for either, again, the normal fireball, or sorry, the light fireball on block, the heavy fireball on block, or the D version of the slash. The D slash is actually really good too. Just now, that being said, it has overlap with his heavy fireball, because it's basically a pressure resetter, just like the heavy fireball. As you can see, it's super plus. But mid-screen, for example, it'll leave you a lot closer than his heavy fireball will, because his heavy fireball basically pushes your opponent out, so you have to use like forward A to continue the pressure. But with the D slash, you can see it leaves you a lot closer. The unfortunate thing is, though, it's a lot more reactable, I find, or at least people react to it more so than the heavy fireball in terms of block strings, so just be aware of that. But it's still really good for pressure resetting. The EX version is unfortunately slow, not as fast as the B version, but it's still plus. It's not as plus as the D version, but what you really want to do with it, it's kind of niche, but you can use it in his crumple combos, and it ground bounces, which is nice. But what you really want to use it for, at least in my opinion, is anti-fireball. If your opponent's zoning you, this thing has projectile invincibility, so you can just like cut through their fireballs like that for free, or not for free, but for half a bar, and then you get damage off of it, right? It's really nice for that. That's what I'd recommend using the EX version for. So those are his only like special moves, which he only has 3, but as you can see, each of the 3 has extremely good utility, and like his 3 special moves are all really extremely good, but he only has 3 special moves. So just be aware of that. Now onto his supers. His first super is basically it kind of is like his DP, except for they didn't nerf this in terms of anti-cross-up, so if your opponent's going for a cross-up and you think you have enough time, you could do this, because now you can't DP out of their cross-up attempts. But be aware that it's frame 10 like the heavy DP, so it's a little bit slow, so it won't work against a lot of, safe jumps and things like that. But it's super invincible, and it will blow through anything if they're not blocking, obviously. The EX version is even more damage, and it's frame 8, and it has even more invincibility. So yeah, it's really great in combos, because you can, if you get an anti-air DP, you can cancel into it. If you get any pet, you can do stuff like that. And in the corner, it's even more deadly. Sorry about that. It's even more deadly because it's hard knockdown. So in the corner, what you can do is stuff like this. Oh, I messed it up. You can OTG with the... I didn't mention this before, but I'll mention it now. The close D, on top of being a overhead, it's an OTG after hard knockdown. So after you hit land super in the corner, you can OTG with it to get a little extra damage. And again, after the OTG, you get the same safe jump setup, so it's really nice. So yeah, in the corner it's really nice. Mid screen, after a DP it's really nice. This is your primary combo ender. If you have the ball, basically, is what I'm saying. His other super is the gun super. And you could use it in a couple ways. One, anyone that throws projectiles, again, you could use this, but if you just want to spend one bar, generally this is preferred, but you can also use this. But what this is even cheaper for is cheesy chip outs. Most people won't know how to react to this, but if they do have a bar, for the record, they can guard cancel and roll out of this. But if your opponent has barely any life left, you can technically use this as a cheesy chip option. Just be aware against really good players, they will probably punish you for it. But yeah, the EX version is really nice because, again, any situation you get his other super off on, you just get more damage for spending 2 more bars. And the EX version is chargeable, and it does more damage after charging. It's really strong. So, I keep screwing it up. I'm not listening to my own advice. There it is. So you can do stuff like that for a ton of damage. Yeah. It's even, I think it's even faster to get to the edge of the screen. So if your opponent's doing full screen fireballs, this is your fastest and best punish, arguably. If you're like at this range and they're throwing fireballs, though, use this instead because you get more total damage for 1 bar or 2 bars. But if you're full screen for whatever reason and they're throwing fireballs, you can go for the EX gun or the or just the normal gun, and they'll work fine. But yeah. Also, one more note about both of his supers. They can both be done with pretzel motions as a reference to the older game. Not that you'd ever really want to, because I don't know how many people are comfortable doing pretzel motions, but as you can see here, technically you can do them both with pretzel motions, as opposed to double quarter circle forward. But there's really no advantage to doing that. It's just a fun little Easter egg. Next up is his climax. Now his climax is also insane. It doesn't do that much damage, as you can see. Unfortunately, it doesn't do much damage, but in exchange for it not doing much damage, it has so many obscene properties. First of all, it OTGs. So after overhead, you can react and confirm into it. And you get quite a bit of damage. While as you can see, it's not the most damage, or it's not like obscene damage for 3 bars. Keep in mind, this is after just a reactable overhead confirm. And you don't, unlike other overhead confirms where you have to spend the bar without confirming it, like, you know, think any other any command overhead. Most characters, to convert off their overhead, they have to do the command overhead and then basically just immediately max cancel it, and if it's blocked, you basically max canceled, and you don't get a combo. Versus this, on block you can react and just not do the climax, but the second it hits, you can react and do the climax. Trust me when I say it's really easily reactable to do this confirm. So use that a lot. But additionally, I should mention this with his EX gun. On counter hit, you can get EX gun like that, but on top of having OTG properties, his Climax has anywhere juggle properties. So one of my favorite little gimmicks and confirms with him when I have bar is jump CD, because I told you how this is like an amazing air button. Just throw it out in neutral, and the second you see it hit, counter hit or not, you don't have to react to counter hit or not. Just if it hits, immediately go into Climax. And you get a ton of damage. You have to be a little bit fast about it, but as long as you buffer it, and the second you just buffer the motion, and then the second you see this jump CD hit, press the button. And if it's blocked, just don't press the button. Trust me when I say it's actually really easy if you practice it just a little bit. So yeah, just dominate neutral with jump CD, and then immediately cancel to his immediately spam mash out his Climax if you see it hit. It's really good if you have the bar. Unfortunately, the Climax does kill your Oki, but I think it's so good anyway. Similar to his other moves, you can also do it by the old input, which is kind of a cursed input. I'm kind of bad at it, but it's... There it is. Don't do that input. It sucks. It's downwards DP, as in down, forward, and then down, forward, and then all 4 buttons. It's not a comfortable input at all, but you can technically do it. So yeah. Let's see. That's all of his moves covered. Now, so basics are, so to sum up, sort of, anti-hop with A, anti-air if you're comfortable enough with his ADP or his EXDP for if you want guaranteed anti-air, regardless of whatever they jump at you with. On block, cancel into fireballs for extreme safety, or even on hit if you don't really want to confirm and you're just poking like mid-range. If you're poking mid-range with crouch C, just immediately cancel into fireball or Farsi. And on hit, it'll give you a little combo, and on block, it's perfectly safe. If you see them blocking a lot, cancel into the C fireball for more plus frames, or cancel into the heavy slash for plus. Either of those are pressure resetters. Use the B slash for combos, but again, be aware that after slide, cancel it a little bit late, so you can pick up combos after. But don't cancel it too late, otherwise it won't combo and you'll be punishable. So there's a sweet spot to timing it, which you just have to practice a little bit. I'm not getting it because I'm bad, so don't mind me. But yeah, be aware of that. Again, crouch C is an amazing poke, far C is an amazing poke, forward A is an amazing poke. Whiff cancel into slide is an amazing poke. It's an amazing low poke. Like he's got so many amazing pokes. He's got arguably the best anti-air in the game. He has really good pressure resetters or just raw chip. Jump CD is one of the best buttons in neutral, like period. Just hop around in CD or jump CD or do whatever with this button. And again, if it hits and you have bar, can't go into Climax immediately. His other jump buttons are also still pretty good. But again, that's unconventional. He doesn't really have a very good air-to-air. So again, for all of his anti-airs, he needs to rely on his DP. But his DP is so good that fair enough, right? Again, once you land that hit, I'm really messing this combo up. There it is. Once you get the hit, make them regret it and cancel into supers. His supers are extremely strong. You have extremely good anti-zoning tools with this, or either version of the gun, or even Climax if you really wanted to. Obviously, for mix-ups, you've got his amazing overhead, which you can just reaction confirm into climax. Or if you don't want to spend the bar, you get a safe jump after. Like, you can see he's got so many amazing tools, and even post-nerf, he's still really good. He's a little more fair this time around, but he's still really good, and he has a lot of really threatening tools, but you can kind of see what I mean by he's a little bit unorthodox in some respects. But yeah, because as you can see, his neutral's amazing, his offense is amazing, his defense is amazing. Pretty much every aspect about this character is amazing. His neutral's amazing with jump CD, crouch C, slide, fireball, and his anti-air. His defense is amazing, and with his DPs, he has arguably some of the best DPs in the game. His damage is pretty good too. His ability to convert is insane with his climax. His offense is obscene because he's got a ton of really nice chip options, pressure resetters, and on top of that, he has arguably the best overhead in the game. And after you get it in the corner, by the way, you can do another one as an OTG, which is kind of nice. Like, he just has so many amazing tools. Experiment around with his tools. He's overall a really good character. So yeah, I think that's about it. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something about K49. I mean, Krohnen. See ya!